All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you guys doing today? I can't hear you guys. I can't hear the energy in the room. How are you guys doing today? All right. Good morning, guys. Welcome to TiECon Mumbai 2022, India Ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, before we kickstart the day, let's have a huge round of applause for everybody that's made this day possible and are present here. We are truly honored and privileged to have all of you present amongst us. To kickstart the day, we are going to start off with our first session, which is the Suryanamaskar of MArketing, 12 asanas for healthy customer acquisition, lifetime value, and literally no cost, which will be conducted by Mr. Vishal Gondal, founder and CEO of Goki. But before I go ahead and call him, I would also like to inform you and rather update that this is in association with Beyond by Orias Venture Partners, and I'd quickly like to call upon stage Mr. Gopal Modi, Orias Venture Partners, to share a few words with us before we kickstart the session. So, Mr. Modi, can we please have you on stage? Let's welcome Mr. Gopal Modi from Orias Venture Partners. Welcome, sir.
Hello. Hey, good morning. Good to be back at TiECon. Some of us met last time at the TiECon IIT Mumbai. Just a quick introduction to Beyond and the inception of Beyond, and I thought the context was very important before we get Vishal on the stage here. So Beyond is basically our sort of it's a marketing conversation series started by Orias Venture Partners. This is okay. Can you just fix this, please? Yeah, good. Why Beyond? Because we're a consumer specialist fund. Our core focus is on building great brands and successful brands out of India. And we thought we'll take it upon us to actually educate and talk to startups and entrepreneurs and marketing heads on Beyond, on various topics on marketing and branding. So what is Beyond? Beyond is about best practices in marketing. It's about thinking long-term, beyond the immediacy of tactical marketing and discounting, right? That's really how we thought of Beyond, and we sort of created Beyond. This is what Beyond typically looks like. We have one every month, and we call that Beyond Thursdays because we have it on Thursdays. Typically, you have great conversations, a lot of knowledge sharing, a lot of networking, and of course, free beer, right? The journey so far, we've had very interesting and marquee speakers at Beyond. We've covered varied topics, right from brand positioning to category creation to how do you leverage digital for lifecycle management. We had a very interesting session with Kunal from Ogilvy last at TiECon Mumbai, and I'm sure many of you were present there. He spoke about how early stage communication should take place and what are the pegs on that. And of course, we had our last one on brand marketing with Google, right? Hope to have such interesting sessions. We invite all of you to be part of Beyond from here on. Just a little on today's topic, we thought this was extremely interesting. Having spoken to Vishal, Vishal's built a super brand, right? And he was telling me that 70% of all his acquisition has actually come from like social and community and word of mouth, right? So literally no cost, and we thought that was very intriguing. And I thought that was a pain point for a lot of startups to say, yeah, how do I acquire customers at low cost, right? Vishal, of course, seasoned entrepreneur, started when he was 16, set up his first company, India Gaming, which got acquired by Walt Disney, avid marathon runner, although I think Vishal's not been running for some time now. And of course, then his passion for fitness and gaming led to Goki, right? Without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Vishal. Last bit, if you are interested in signing up for Beyond, you'll start receiving Beyond invites. Please go to this link, bit.ly/OriasBeyond, and follow us on Twitter, right? And you'll start receiving invites for Beyond. Over to you, Vishal. Vishal Gondal.
Check. Thank you very much, Gopal. Let's have a round of applause once again for Mr. Gopal Modi. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get Vishal to come up on stage, I would like to quickly give you a little bit of an info about him. Of course, Mr. Modi has shared a little bit with us. Vishal Gondal is regarded as the father of Indian gaming industry. He founded Indian Games and sold it to Walt Disney UTV for $100 million in 2011. He is now the founder CEO of Goki, which is a leader in the business of health fitness wearable technology. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Vishal Gondal.
Thanks. Hi.
Please, over to you.
Good morning, Mumbai. I can see a lot of action here. So I want to start this session by first making a confession to all of you. As you know, the session is called the 12 asanas, Suryanamaskar, free marketing, no money spent, etc., etc. And because of that, all of you are here. The reality is there is no such thing at all. This is just another technique for making sure people turn up to your session on a early morning on a Friday. The reality is that there is no magic bullet when it comes to running a business, acquiring customers, or doing any of these things. But just the way, Suryanamaskar was a very interesting concept because it is said in Ayurveda that if you do nothing else, and if you can just do this one exercise in the morning, saluting the sun, that makes a huge difference to your overall health. So what I'm going to talk about is clearly not prescribed to everybody. It's not, I certainly cannot talk about your business or your problem in specific, but the idea here was to talk to you about general concepts, some of them which we have done at Goki and some of them which you probably are already aware of, and then see the context in which we can use. And since we wanted to start the session with the Suryanamaskar, I'm looking for a few volunteers who can actually do Suryanamaskar on this stage. So do we have a few people who want to do Suryanamaskar? Yeah, please come. So all the people who want to do Suryanamaskars are welcome on stage. We're going to start with that. As you can see, it's very easy. There are only 12 steps to do it. I hope you all know how to do Suryanamaskars, right? Yeah, so please come on stage. And you can also do Suryanamaskar on your seats, by the way. It's very easy. That's called the standing Suryanamaskar. So what we will do is while they are doing Suryanamaskars, you are just going to stand with your 2 hands up and your feet like this. Not now, let them first do the Suryanamaskars together. And by the way, we can use this entire stage, so you don't need to be here. Some of you can come thoda aage also. And the idea is to show you the simplicity of it, of how to do Suryanamaskar. So, great, so I think we have the entire stage set up. So, do you want everybody to stand at least while they're doing their Suryanamaskars? So we want everybody to be charged up before the session. We need some energy. So why don't we start? Can we have some music? No, actually we don't need music. That's fine. A little music is fine. Yes, go ahead. Yes, start. That's step 1, as you can see. It's very easy. Now we're going for step 2. Step 3. Does everybody know how to do this, by the way? Or you must have seen it on TV, or Baba Ramdev has a very good video on YouTube. Step 4. It's fairly easy, as you can see. Step 5. Step 6. Step 7. Step 8. Step 9. Step 10, 2 more left, that's it, it's very easy. There are just 12 steps, you can Google it and find everything about it. 11, step 11, and the last step, which is step 12, which is easy. Give them a big round of applause, guys. But Suryanamaskar itself doesn't help. So we are going to do one other asana, which let's see all of you who can do it. So you're a yoga expert, so please come here. Everybody need to go behind her in a line. This is a surprise asana, they don't even know what it is. So in this line, straight. Now what we'll do is we'll all turn around like this. This is called the chakra asana. What we're going to do? The chakra asana. So let's go down. I know it. You know it, right? She's the expert, right? So 1, 2, 3. Give a big round of applause, everybody, guys. And you can come down. So that's how difficult the final asana is. So while you can do the 12 asanas, thanks a lot, everybody. Good job. She does every day 2 hours of yoga. Amazing. Oh, workout. Are you on Goki already? No? Okay. So this was just a way to stretch you out. Again, as I said, there is no magic bullet. But what we are going to do is over the next, 1 hour or 1 odd hours, take you through some of these ideas and concepts and what we have done. Also, there's not going to be any question-answer session. What I want you to do is, at any point of time, put your hands up. There'll be somebody running with the mics. We're going to have questions. And by the way, we have some cool T-shirts to give you out if your question is good. So make sure you have some smart questions to ask. And when you ask me the question, you also have an opportunity to quickly introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your company and whatever else. So it's also your way to market yourself for free. Think about it, right? I mean, there's a huge audience here. You have a time to ask a question. But if you do not ask a right question, and if it is just marketing, you have to pay 100 rupees to us. We'll have somebody collect the cash. You can pay $100 if your question is not qualified. It needs to be a proper question. Of course, we'll figure out what to do with the $100 depending on how much money we collect later, but that's the deal. So $100 if it's a dud question, but if it's a good question, you get to market yourself to all the smart people in this room. So this is another way to get free marketing done for you. So again, a little bit about Goki. For people who don't know about Goki, shame on you. Goki is a company, it's a concept which we started. Everybody thought it was a crazy idea. It was a completely crazy idea because me and my team, none of us had ever built hardware. Forget us, in India, nobody has built consumer hardware. And what we were saying in 2014 is we are going to launch a hardware, but that is not our business. The hardware is just a giveaway. What we are actually going to give you is a service, which is a coach, which is going to be on the cloud, and what you're going to pay is a subscription every month, and you will value the advice. People said, "Arey yaar, nobody listens to anybody at home, or all this is not going to work, it's a crazy idea," and everything else. But we had the conviction, and in my own case, because of my own experience with my own journey around health and fitness, I realized that the biggest challenge in this category was not information. You can get information from anywhere. The problem was motivation. And that's how we worked on Goki as the idea. Of course, we were competing against the giants in the market. Of course, I'm sure there are a couple of people here who wear Fitbit. There's no market share, they don't have much. A lot of people wear Xiaomi. And these are all multi-billion-dollar companies with millions of dollars in marketing and budgets. But what we've been able to achieve as Goki, as a startup, with what we've done, is actually pretty surprising to us as well as all our users and the community. As of last quarter, we were pretty much leading the wearable space in India. And this happened with us clearly not spending as much as any of these other guys in marketing, customer acquisition, or any of these things. But there was certainly a method to the madness we were able to create at Goki. And what I wanted to do was take you through some of these ideas and concepts. Some of these concepts may go above your head. And if that happens, it's good, because you're not supposed to understand everything here. But the good news is a lot of them are very simple. And that's when you go through it. So I'm not going to talk about SEO. I'm not going to talk about Facebook advertising. I'm not going to talk about growth hacks. None of that is what we've been able to do. What we've been able to do is something very different, and that's really what has got us almost 70% of our users joining us or coming to us by referring it to a friend or a family member. So first of all, how many of you have actually used Goki in the audience? Okay, quite a few people, so yeah. And how many of you have referred somebody else to try Goki? So that's really one of those things for us, right? It is all about making sure that people not only come to our platform, but go beyond and become literally our viral agents. And that's what happened. So as I said, while we talk about the Suryanamaskars and you've already seen it, the reality is that a lot of these techniques are simple. And sometimes that's what people don't understand, that how something as simple can get you all the results. And that's really what we are talking about today. So essentially, I think this is the essence of what I'm going to talk about. So I wanted to start with exactly this. Since this is a little bit of a longer session, I would go to a little bit more detail on stuff like this. I know a lot of you are thinking, what the hell is this circle which I am presenting to you? But this is literally the heart of what we do at Goki and what a lot of other brands who rely on what we call word of mouth, which is how do you do things, how do you work on concepts and ideas which generate positive, hopefully, not negative word of mouth, positive word of mouth. And there are many examples of brands. Can anybody think of brands which rely on word of mouth? Give me a few names. Just shout. Sorry? Truecaller. Amway is pyramid marketing. They're not necessarily word of mouth. It's pyramid marketing. Sorry? That's pyramid marketing. They don't do word of mouth. They're paying people to become their pyramid market agents. Sorry? OnePlus phone is a great example of word of mouth. Marks and Spencer's. Of course, Goki. Akshay Kumar movies. I don't know about that, but Google. So, I mean, think about it. When was the last time you saw WhatsApp advertising itself? It never happened. Red Bull is another great product, even though we would not recommend you to drink Red Bull at all, ever. But their marketing strategy was all about making people try the product. Red Bull, if you ever see, they would have these people distributing Red Bulls in a party, in an event, because they wanted you to try it, and they knew the minute you tried, you will get a kick, and then you will tell others also, "Arey, energy bahut aata hai isko pee ke." So the bottom line was that the strategies of a lot of these brands relied on this, and if you just look at this cycle or this circle, it basically breaks down your connect with your consumers at two levels. One is called on-premise and off-premise, or let's say offline or online, I mean, depending on what your brand is. And if you look at what you do, whether it is event marketing, communication, consumer collecting, or what they call opinion leader programs, all of this need to create a buzz or create something which makes you talk about what you're doing. So again, if you remember, one of the most exciting events we talk about with Red Bull. Do you know what that event is? Not F1. Not air racing. Jump from space. How many of you remember the jump from the stratosphere? By the way, there are 3 other people who have broken that record now. But nobody cares about it. If you look at Bumlader, what they did, in fact, it was televised. It was the highest viewed YouTube event at one point of time. The whole idea of Red Bull comes around that what do we do so that it becomes a word of mouth. Everybody talks about it, everybody remembers it. And memorable advertising really went there. And when you look at this framework of getting opinion leaders, whether it is athletes, whether it is people who are influencers and so on, but the measure of success is not clicks or purchases or any of those things. The measure of success is conversations. Whether offline, online, are people talking about your brand? Are people tweeting about your brand? Are people caring about your brand? A lot of people say, "Arey, no news is good news. Nobody's talking about our brand on Twitter or Facebook." That's actually bad news. Because if you are not being able to drive conversations, you are not being able to be successful. And if you are going to fail at this, what happens is, a lot of times, a lot of companies say, "Arey, I want to put advertising on TV and billboards and hoardings and all of that." Now, without having a core framework or proposition to generate word of mouth, all your advertising is going to die out because it will only have the impact for 1 day or 1 minute or 1 month if you're going to spend crores of rupees. And after that, it's over. And which is what has been happening constantly. If you look at a lot of, I'm sure you've by now seen so many startups as well as large and small companies burning so much money in marketing, but that has not been able to get them the traction. It's because a lot of them missed this framework. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through some of these ideas. Of course, as I said, it's not enough to cover everything in today's session, but I thought it will kind of give you a glimpse of some of these things and some examples of how this can be easily done. And the beauty is your brand could be a beauty parlor, your brand could be an internet company, whatever business you are doing, you can adopt a framework like this to generate word of mouth for yourself. And that's really what is going to make difference in today's world, because in today's world, we are willing to trust more the ratings of a product and the reviews than what the advertisement is saying. Today, one of the big reasons banks are really shattered by guys like Vijay and Paytm. So bank used to say, I am 100 years old, I am 160 years old, and that was their entire proposition. Trust me because I am so old. Today, nobody cares. If you are old, you are in the grave. Today, how you are trusted is, I have so many thousands of people rated me this. This is my review on TripAdvisor. This is my review on Uber. This is my review here. This is my review there. So the entire structure of trust has moved from institutions to consumers. And today, if you cannot influence your consumers to generate the trust for you, you are dead. And all the companies who advertise their year of when they started are not going to survive that long, clearly. And that's what comes to the first thing of identifying your audience. A lot of times I have seen companies do what is called carpet bombing. So their whole idea is that, you know what, I'm going to put a Facebook ad and target 18-year-old men from metro cities and I'm going to reach my target. Or, you just go on some TV channel or some print or put a hoarding somewhere. And a lot of these things are not effective, or you get very little response from there because what you are doing is carpet bombing. And while in today's world, you need to do laser guiding. What you need to do is go and identify sharply who your consumer or who your potential customer has to be, and then laser target them with your message or what you want to do in the right way. And just to give you, again, a snapshot here, and this I want to give you a little bit from the Goki's context, what we did. So when you look at the audience, you have to look it into the three contexts of your brand, the society, and the audience itself. What is happening around you from a society aspect makes a big difference of how your product is. To give you an example, today WhatsApp is everybody, in fact, if you're in the same room, you will still prefer WhatsApping each other than even talking, which is a huge problem. But for people, communicating one-on-one using apps is a social behavior. So if Goki had a product which relied on people chatting with the coach, 5 years back, it would have completely failed. But today, in fact, people prefer that I'm chatting with somebody. So, and that is because the society has shifted to a behavior which was probably not as prevalent 5 years back. So a lot of times, the context has to be different. For example, in the early days, as you know, India got free in 1947, as we say, liberated in 1991, and after 2000, as we know, there is an entire, prosperity going on. And there was a time when in India people used to die of famine, etc. But today, people celebrate in India with food, as you know. Food is a moment of celebration. There's mithai for everything, and you meet people for samosas and jalebis and everything else. And the entire shift from a starvation economy to an indulgent economy is happening. And clearly that is leading to a lot of challenges. So we took some of these insights and started crafting a brand story. And the other big thing is India is not DIY. And I'm sure you know about, it is not IKEA. I hope they're not going to go and give people kits of furniture and say, here is it and assemble it yourself. This is a very Western concept. And this is applicable not only to one category, but across categories. Similarly, when there were companies wanting to launch apps and devices and wearable and said people will do everything on their own, it was not going to work. There were, of course, a small amount of people, maybe a few percentage points, who will do this, but most of the people here require assistance or help. And this is, as I said, not just an insight for our category, but for many categories. But what happens is a lot of times, people in India just copy a concept from the West and bring it to India. But they forget that a lot of times the social context is very different for these products. And if you are not able to adopt it to your social context, you are doomed. And understanding, and this is again, these are just examples of insights I gave you, but for your product and your category, insights could be very different. So can anybody come with one insight each on any category or any product which you think can be relevant on these three things: the brand, the society, and the audience? Any insight do you think about the audience? Anyone? Or any insight on the society? Yes, yeah. Over there. Absolutely. So I think people are trusting when they book a cab from an app, they have more trust in the amount being charged, in whatever is being offered to them, because there is transparency versus a cab driver just charging you something. So that's a big shift in the social behavior, which was not the case before. You had an insight, yeah.
The key insight is with respect to the audience. Basically, I'm a fitness entrepreneur, and whenever I have to pull in audience to my fitness centers, I normally target those who are seriously interested in fitness. So I don't do random, like just going around and going around. What I do is that I go through Facebook, the paid marketing, where we can filter down interest. When I hold even seminars, it's always with respect to the target audience, that is, which are more towards obese, who are looking for losing weight, who are looking for a healthy, fit lifestyle, and targeting gyms and urban clap, and so on and so forth.
Perfect.
So that's how I go about
Perfect.
it.
So one other interesting insight, just to add to this, we have this entire thing of free. Everybody wants to say free and free app and free service and free trial. What we found out was a free customer is the worst customer you could ever acquire. And which is why we went with a pricing model on day one. Again, people told us we are stupid. They said, why are you charging? And my simple point was, since our business was not about giving people free and saying, I have 5 million users. That was not the goal for us. Our goal was to have people who are seriously engaged. And a serious user will, even if they pay 100 rupees, they are a much better customer, and you may get 10 of them versus getting 500 free users. So, because a lot of them have just come because it was free. The other thing we realized, just as an example, that people do not value what their company gives them. So when a company buys Goki and gives it to their employees, say, I want to take care of your health, and here is a Goki, absolutely no use. I mean, very low usage, because people don't care about it. But the same company tells them that, okay, here is a Goki, maybe you can pay 500, I'll pay 500. When the employee actually pays money, they value it and they use it. And this, again, is going to be an insight across categories that free is not good. And again, one of the big challenges in marketing is that companies have gone after acquiring users for free, or literally almost for free, or saying 100% cash back, buy this. The user never bought it because they wanted the services, because they were getting 100% cash back. And in fact, I remember there was a time you could order food on one of the food apps and get a cash back, and then there was another guy giving you cash back. So you were actually getting money when you ordered. So you were literally, so it was like order food and make money, literally. And believe me, those customers are never going to come back. And that was the big thing around the insight around these three things. And it's really important that you dig into this. The other thing is, what do you need to see through the consumer's eyes? It is very important that before you even start your brand communication, to first understand what is the consumer looking for and where do you fit in. And one of the things we again realized very early on, that in our category, a lot of people talk about weight loss. And they say, join this. I'm sure you're getting hundreds of SMSs every week trying to say that this many, pay us so much money, lose 10 kgs and do this and do that. And even though a lot of people wanted weight loss, we never went and positioned ourselves in that category. We looked at the other interests of the consumers. And we figured out that what do consumers actually want. And we realized that they were looking for inspiration and motivation, which was very important. We looked at fun, interesting, and engaging, because that keeps you on for a longer time. You get bored otherwise. And finally, easy doable, and supportive. So these were some of the values we took rather than taking values of diabetes and heart disease and all these things, which are a lot of, if you look at a lot of companies in the health space, they launch a diabetes care plan and a heart care plan and this plan and that plan. And believe me, the insight we got was consumers hate it. They do not want to tell people that they are on a weight loss program, for example. Or they do not want to wear a band which tells people that, oh, you have this major problem of diabetes, which is why you are wearing this. In fact, so people don't want it to be perceived as something which is chronic problem with them, or something which is an app they don't want anybody to show when they're using because it is something they're associated with weight loss or any of that. And the positioning was very, very important, which is why Goki as a brand would never talk about weight loss, or we will say that Goki is all about having fun, getting supportive, doing good, and we have this whole thing around karma points, and I'll tell you about it a little later. So the positioning needs to be very, very different and thought out. So it was by no accident that we never talked about these things. These were planned out right from the day zero. And similarly, it is very easy to go and position yourself and say, I am a financial company and I'll help you make money. A lot of companies do that. I'm here to get you multi-bagger profits, and I'm here to get you so many returns. A lot of people advertise their companies. For example, if you're doing financial services, the reality is it is not going to happen. Maybe it will happen for 1% people or 2% people. Same thing is with weight loss. I don't know if you know the statistics. 98% people do not lose weight whenever they are on these weight loss programs. So it is like making a promise where 98% people will finally be disappointed and say, ki ye bakwas hai, it doesn't work and all of that. And you are designing yourself for a negative word of mouth than a positive word of mouth, versus saying that I am here to inspire you. If you are walking 500 steps, I am going to make you walk 1,000. If you are at 1,000, I'll make you walk 5,000. So everybody is a winner. There is nobody who will say that, oh, I did not meet my goal, because the goal was not around things which are not easy to. It's easy to sell. Clearly, if we started advertising that, come on, Goki, and you lose 20 kgs, we will sell a lot. But that is going to create a massive amount of consumer disappointment and problems. And this is also applicable for many categories. A lot of times, people promise highest discount ever. Reality is, you may do it for 1 or 2 products, but it may not be possible for all products. If you look at Amazon's positioning, while Amazon does say that you will get great prices, their bigger positioning is around delivery, it's around now the whole Amazon Prime example. So the reason you're buying on Amazon, in fact, it's interesting that our product is sold on all marketplaces. People buy on Amazon paying more, even though it is listed in certain marketplaces at cheaper, because they don't want, it is no longer price is becoming an important thing, especially in our category. We are not really going after people who are looking for discounts. Our consumer is somebody who's going to pay. And just to take that same thing, again, on purpose, we never went offline, because we said we could have easily sold on Chroma, Reliance, all these stores. We never went there, because if a consumer is not smart enough to even buy something online, there is no chance they can use our product. So again, we are going to go and acquire a user which is going to be very, very low quality, because they can't even buy online. So we eliminated channels. So it is a lot of times your strategy says be in as many channels as possible, while the reality is you have to pick your channels. Of course, in the early stages, later on you may look at other channels, but picking where you sell is equally important, and what you sell. And that's all these insights come to you once you look through your customer's eye itself. And that was another very, very important insight. And once again, you can look at many such things. Finally, what is it that you are replacing? If you are offering a product and a service, and you are not replacing something in your consumer's life, then you have a problem, because they will not miss you. They will not start, as we say, they will start not missing you, which is what you don't want. Today, how many of you, if Uber and Ola go off the roads, we were all having so many challenges last week and all these days, because we are now started missing the experience. And the regular taxi experience is just so pathetic. And that is what they have done. They have replaced our entire behavior. Similarly, buying online, a lot of these services have replaced. Can you give me a few other examples of services which you think have replaced a massive behavior in your mind? And the behavior can be two types. It could either be a habit change or a mindset change. So it could be different. So book my show. So no, you'll be stupid to stand in a line to buy a movie ticket today, because Book My Show has made it so convenient and easy. And if I actually see somebody standing in a line, I'm saying they're complete idiots, right? I mean, why the hell do you want to do that? So clearly a great example. Yeah.
Some years back, Kellogg's changed our initial...
Some years back.
Few years back. In 1996 they started.
Okay.
So they changed our habit of starting with breakfast, a heavy breakfast with a lot of cholesterols and everything. So they changed our overall habit of going to the nutrition side.
That may not be the best example, because Kellogg's itself is junk food. We would not recommend you to have Kellogg's.
That's a habit change, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a habit change. Okay. Yeah. Packaged water, it's an unfortunate thing, but yes, today you would prefer drinking packaged water, even though they might be giving you the same water from the tap, but perception-wise, you believe it is much more safer, and we are all having these aqua, whatever. Yeah.
IRCTC, where we book railway tickets.
Exactly. Standing in line doesn't make sense anymore. Absolutely.
In consumer brand, we can say like sweet is replaced by Cadbury.
Yeah.
So now our mindset is changed. We prefer Cadbury rather than sweets.
Yeah. Even though that's not a good thing, but yeah, it's unfortunately happening. Yeah. Yeah. Netflix. It's, yeah, while I know it's still adoption is low, but once you, for example, in our house, we no longer have cable TV because, when you have on demand, you don't want to watch linear television. Yeah. Google, yeah. So what has Google changed for you? Yeah. So the bottom line is that if you have a product, you have to first think, what is it going to replace? If you cannot think of that, or I'm not saying replace today, even if you can think of it replace 3, 5, 10 years later, that becomes a very, very good thing to look at. So for example, at Goki, and I'm just showing you what we tried to do. So the first thing we wanted to replace for people was no wristwatch. So a lot of people, I don't know if there are users here, once you start wearing Goki, the first thing you replace is you don't wear a watch. I don't know if how many saw that. Do you still wear a watch? No. So a lot of Goki users, the first thing which happens to them is it replaces the watch. And you go to our device, which is the mindset change. The second thing is you start eating right, being active, and so on. But the biggest change we believe, is we replace laziness. So our competition is everything which is making you lazier. And that is and if we attain that, that's the mindset change as well as the habit change. So of course, for different users, we achieve different things. It's not everybody will do this. But the point is that unless you are able to identify some of these elements for your brand, you cannot communicate. And unfortunately, a lot of times we just get some advertising agency and say, "Arey, give me a nice tagline, put some controversial ads or whatever else and put it up," without understanding some of these elements. And which is why a lot of these advertisings just don't work. So it is about very, very sharp positioning and thinking through this so much. And actually, it's not very difficult. And we'll tell you how this is done in a very, very easy way. The other thing was you need to understand who your brand is. And if your brand was ever to be converted into a character, who would be that character? Whether your brand is, so for example, we identified with, can anybody guess who that is? Sorry? The name of the character? Maria, from Sound of Music. So we said that the persona of Goki, if somebody talks to you, if anybody from our team is talking to you, if our coaches are talking to you, they need the perception on the other side needs to be this. How many of you have seen the TV channel Zoom or had seen it at one point? Their perception was around Sushmita Sen was their thing. When you looked, there's all glitter and glam and glamour. So they were, so every brand or every product wants to have an image, but the image is not in your ad. A lot of times you have an ad or you have a website with an image of a person, but that never translates into your services, your offerings, your colors, and everything else. So when we decided to use ourselves, we said it was about being free-spirited, mischievous yet emotional, an authority on her subject. So that was a very important thing. So the relationship which we have with our consumers is not a customer service and a customer relationship. That is a very different kind of, yes, sir, we will do it. In our case, the relationship was, well, I am supporting you, but I am the authority. You better do this because I am telling you. But that was not told in a way with like a master would tell you in your school or a headmaster, but more in a fun personified, taking you along kind of a concept. So this was used as a lot of even our taglines, communication, how if you even write an email to us, how a lot of times you get the responses, this was thought about to that degree. And similarly, whenever you look at your brand, you can think of a character and think how will this character respond to you if that was the brand. And that makes a big difference. So anybody can think of examples of characters and brands. Yep. Anybody? Sorry. Sorry? No, but Fido Dido 7-Up is the brand. I'm not talking about what they use as a brand ambassador. I'm saying think of a brand and think of what character reminds you when you look at that brand. Patanjali is okay. It's well, he's on every TV ad. I'm talking about not what you see in an ad. Think of a product. Google. Okay, if Google had to be a person, let's take that example. Google has never used a brand ambassador. If Google was a person, who that person would be? Rahul Dravid. Sorry? Dr. Spock could be one. Okay, he's data. That was Dr. Spock. And any other examples? Sorry? God is Google. Okay. Yeah. No, Nike Just Do It is again, I'm talking about think of a brand and think of a person. Just Do It is a slogan. It's nothing to do with the brand. Think of and who is your person? How is your brand talking like? Yeah. Siri, you said. So who is the person? Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes was a detective. Sorry. Yeah. So Apple reminds you of a Buddhist monk. Okay, to simplify, Apple is all about simplicity, doing less, minimalism, design is good, calm. So Apple could and that is what, if you look at Steve Jobs, while he was angry, etc., he was also one of the Buddhist image. So Apple definitely fits into that kind of a bracket. What does Facebook look like? Anybody? Sorry? Young teenager. No, Facebook can't be a young teenager. Talkative. Okay. So the bottom line is that again, it's you can Google and find a lot of these things, but it is very important to first figure out your brand, what person does it represent before you communicate and start communicating. And communication is not just limited to your ad. It goes all the way to the text message you will send. It goes all the way to even a customer email you will send. So this needs to flow through a number of things. And finally, before I go to this is a crazy thing. I hope you don't understand this, but before I go there, so when you communicate something to a consumer, the most important thing is that what you are communicating and what they are perceiving is the same. A lot of times, this is where the gap happens, and there are various ways to study this, and we use a combination of SurveyMonkey, We actually call and talk to our users. We meet our users. So to do this, we met over 2,000 Goki users, both face-to-face, online, etc., to figure out that what was their perception about the brand. Not that do you like our service, say yes or no, rate us 1 to 10. That is not the intention. The intention really is that what do you perceive us as a brand? And we were also very clear that what we were trying to communicate. A lot of times if there is a mismatch here, you are dead. And this is one of the, you can Google this again. There are a few other frameworks, but this is one of the most popular frameworks you can use to figure this out. So it basically breaks into 2 parts. What it says, picture of sender, which means what you are trying to communicate as a company or as a brand, and what is being perceived by the people at the other end. If you don't do this in a cohesive way, you're dead. And similarly, what is the externalization, what is the internalization? So it's a pretty simple framework in that sense. And again, I'm giving you the example of Goki, but this can be, there are examples of McDonald's and Google and Coke and everybody else on the communication and the result of this. Because if you don't do this, all your communication is getting wasted if you're able to measure this. So what we figured out was, in our case, we said, Goki is about the coach, it's about the band, it's about fun, it's being tech savvy. We were targeting people who were tech savvy, clearly. We were not going after people who could not even buy online, for example. And the whole aura around our brand was healthy. But we didn't know what was being perceived at the other end. We thought this is what we were communicating. The whole thing, what we wanted to focus on was relationship. We were a subscription service, so we were not a one-time sale and we forget you. Our whole product was that you keep coming back to us and keep engaging with us and keep as a long-term consumer, which we talk about as lifetime value. How does you get lifetime value? When you are perceiving us as a companion, a partner, motivator. In fact, a lot of people refer Goki as my family, which was again strange to us. We did not think that. So we started also talking that you are part of the Goki family. Our emails talk to you as you are part of the family. Because that is the perception which people were taking on the other end. And when you look at what is happening at the other end, the reflection of what we were perceiving came up as sporty, youthful, active, and fit, which was good. So everybody we said, they said, "Aapko kaisa lag raha hai? What are your friends telling you? What is your family telling you?" They say, "Yeah, I have become very active. I'm looking youthful. I have become." So the good thing was a lot of these things were matching. And similarly, we looked at what were people's own self-image, that what were they thinking about themselves after using the product. And that again came out, if you look at it, it was kind of healthy and so on. And again, we looked at the culture and so on. So again, as I said, I don't want you to, this is just an example, but the idea is that a lot of work needs to, and this is all to, again, this is all about finally generating positive word of mouth. Because if you don't do a lot of these elements, you will not be able to generate or make your consumers become your brand ambassadors. That was the key thing which we wanted to do. And if you look at some of the cultural aspects, one of the things was belief in natural methods. So Goki will never give you a pill or a dawai or a supplement. We will focus on making sure you do yoga, you have lemon water with honey and natural remedies. And automatically, if you will start believing that I believe in nature, and by the way, the entire Patanjali brand, the reason none of the other people can compete with Patanjali is because they're not selling a product, they're selling a thought. People who believe in Patanjali believe that Ayurveda and India and all these things are better. And if, in fact, somebody says, oh, here is proof that this product is contaminated, they'll say, no, no, other companies have made it contaminated because they don't like Patanjali. In fact, it has gone to that extent, which is why no company can use any brand ambassador and anything because they're not competing against two products. They're competing against a thought process. And it's amazing, and I'm glad to see that Indian brands and the products around nature, of course, I'm not trying to say they're good or bad, that's not the discussion here, but the positioning which they have been able to do is what is amazing. And which is why I can tell you that it will be very difficult for companies in a lot of these categories to compete with Patanjali. And they will be an amazing case study if you look at this. And again, the whole idea around lead by example and karma. I want to talk a little bit about karma here. So one of the big insights we have is there is this new thing, and you need to write this word down. It's called guilt-free indulgence. What's it called? So people today, you are seeing TV, you are on internet, you are seeing people dying, disease, but at the same time, you want to indulge, but how does that indulgence become guilt-free? And this was started, by the way, in the West very well. There's this brand called Tom's. Have you heard of Tom's? You should again search it, but these are Tom's glasses I'm wearing. And you know why I'm wearing these glasses? They're very expensive. That's a different thing. But every time I bought this glass, there were people in Africa who were given a cataract operation free with this. Now, I'm no longer buying a product which is Gucci or whatever else. I'm buying Tom's, and by the way, they also make some amazing shoes, and their concept is the same. You buy these shoes, and somebody is going to get another pair. So what is happening is today, when people are buying products, everybody wants to see how can it be guilt-free. And same thing when we looked at health. One of the big things was, how can we make your health journey beneficial to somebody else? And which is why we went back, and if you look at a lot of categories, doing good or reducing the guilt of what you are doing is becoming extremely important. And that's how, so in Goki, for example, every time you walk 390 steps, we give you 1 point, and you can get these points and donate it to charity. There are various charities on our platform. And then you get a certificate, you get tweets, you can even participate in some of these events. And that was one of the most important things for people, because that gave them the sense that I am making a difference to the world, which is why the entire Goki brand is Be the Force, which is not Nike. When Nike says just do it, you know the difference between just do it and Be the Force? Can somebody tell me how is it different? Be the force and just do it. You said just do it, right? So how are these two things different? Yeah. Getting everybody else, exactly. So just do it is very individualistic. It's about me. I don't care. I'm doing it. Whether you come or no, tum gaye khadde mein. You know, it's a very American, Western concept of individualism, and maybe it's changing now. While when we said Be the Force, it was always about you taking other people along, which was one of the big things when we came to our messaging. And that again came with the concept that people want to become leaders in whatever they do. And these are, again, things you need to insert in your brand. And you believe this. You can't, one of the things is you can't fake any of these things. If you fake any of these values, you are going to be, your consumers will say, हाँ, you said donating karma points, and ye to sab log, you know, the money is gone somewhere else. So that is even worse. The question, again, being that leading by example and doing good karma was one of the things. And if you can figure out some way of just not randomly, introducing guilt-free indulgences into your products or categories or whatever you are doing, that makes a huge difference to consumers, because now they no longer feel the pinch or the guilt of doing something given in the world. And finally, it's also about storytelling. So does anybody know, I know some of the Goki users would know, why 390 steps equals 1 karma points? I know some Goki users would know, but other people should know this too. We have a very complex algorithm, so anybody can guess why 390 steps is 1 karma point. No. Well, the answer is very simple. It's because Mahatma Gandhi had walked 390 kilometers to the Dandi, the Salt Yatra. And we wanted to make sure that every time you walk 390 steps, you remember that. So now, it's a story which I just told you. And this story is what gets transferred to our users. So what we see is that this is what, when other people ask them, they have to tell this story that this is how it happens. So you need to introduce, so it doesn't have to be an algorithm. Everything doesn't need to have a logic. Why it was not 400, why it was not 50, why it was not 10,000. Doesn't have to be a logic. There needs to be a story behind brands. And the story we came about is that we want you to dedicate every time you walk and connect yourself to the great work of Mahatma Gandhi. And that's what introduces stories into your brand. And the more stories you can bring along, that again makes it connected, because every user will then tell the story to somebody else, because people ask you, what is this karma points and how are this coming from? So again, a lot of these came from some of these brand theories, as we say. Again, these are very simple to do. We did not spend any money to do it. This was all done internally. Of course, we told people we had consultants. That's a different story. But this is all done internally by a one-member team. That's it. And what we had was, we had some interns which came, who did surveys, Survey Monkeys free. So again, none of this costs anything major. You just need to spend a few weeks, understand all these things, and then start crafting your messages and communication. Yeah, there's a question.
How was this validated with the Survey Monkey? So, I mean, how did you perceive that it was, exactly the way
No, so we asked them questions, right? That how does it make you feel? What is your self-image? Means, what do you think you have improved after Goki? How do you describe yourself to your friends after being on using the product? Or if you are on Book My Show, now that you are booking online, how do you tell other people who are not booking online? So there are, you can craft these questions, and there are, standard questions. Again, there's nothing, you can just Google and you will get all the questions you can ask on all these things. And you need to interview people. A lot of times, you just not need to send surveys. Face-to-face interviews are important, and preferably a neutral person doing the interview, not you or somebody from the company. Some intern can do the interview and ask them a lot of these questions around what is the brand perception and so on. So here is where I want to now take you to another very interesting concept and slide. And I want to break and show you a short TED Talk. This is one of my favorite speakers and a good friend, Derek. And this is another very, very important aspect of how do you take your brand and your message to the next level. So let's break for this.
Vishal.
Sorry. Yeah.
Vishal. Vishal, I got a question.
You're playing this video? Oh, they have a question? Sorry. Sorry. Let me go back. Yeah, where's the question?
Hi. Here.
Yeah.
Hi. So I'm Abhinav from IBM Startup Ecosystem team.
You have to pay 100 rupees because you're from IBM.
Yeah, that definitely. That I'll take care of. So it's a
$100, sorry.
It's a generic question. It's a generic question. So when we talk about perception, one thing you definitely mentioned is surveys. But there is a lot of unstructured things, like somebody mentioning some reviews on some portal. So and somebody's word of mouth, one thing you also mentioned. So how do you control? Leave control, how do you even know that is it going good for me or is it going bad for me? How
so
you
again,
measure?
my point is that there are various tools. So I know IBM has a tool also which can do sentiment analysis. So there are various tools, but the best tool is you need to ask people. So relying on all these surveys and tools are all fine, but the best way to do this is you need to talk either directly or through a survey. All these other means of covert and figuring out somebody on your website, these are all good tools, but they will never give you these detailed insights. These detailed insights happen when you talk to people one-on-one, directly or through some surveys. So those are, I'm not saying they are not valid, but this is more specific. And you don't need a big, you probably need, as I said, we did it with 2,000 people. It took us almost a couple of months. This can be done with, if you are a smaller brand, you can do it with 500 people. But yeah, you need at least a few hundred people to kind of get some kind of validation.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
$100, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go here. Can you go to the next slide? No, we'll ask the question later. Let's finish this now. Is it playing? Yeah.
So ladies and gentlemen, at TED we talk a lot about leadership and how to make a movement. So let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons from it. First, of course you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's his first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader. And here comes a second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this. So first, if you are the type, like the shirtless dancing guy, that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but we might have missed the real lesson here. The biggest lesson, if you noticed, did you catch it? Is that leadership is over-glorified. That yes, it was the shirtless guy was first, and he'll get all the credit, but it was really the first follower that transformed the lone nut into a leader. So as we're told that we should all be leaders, that would be really ineffective. If you really care about starting a movement, have the courage to follow and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that, TED. Thanks.
So as you can see, this was a very short video, but this kind of quickly shows you that how do you get more and more people to adopt you and adopt the whole thing around. Sorry, let's go to the next slide. So the bottom line is that if your brand cannot transform into a movement, you have a challenge. And brands which work on it, and I am loving the way Paytm, for example, is associating itself with the movement of changing India's with demonetization and the whole corruption and all of that. So today when you use Paytm, you are not just using a wallet, you are becoming part of the new India, you are becoming part of breaking corruption and everything else. And if you look at the communication around it, that's what makes it a movement. That today, if you're not doing it, you are not supporting our country and you are supporting black money in a way. So that's what it comes in. And I want you to now give you a very interesting book. This is by, again, a good friend called Kevin Kelly. He wrote this book called 1,000 True Fans. So what was this book about is if you are able to get 1,000 people to adopt anything you have done, you need 1,000 people. Those 1,000 people are able to create a movement and make it from 1,000 to 10,000 to millions and so on. Of course, I'm simplifying it, you can read the book. But the bottom line is that you need to literally find and handpick these 1,000 people. And if you can do it, and this is true for any product or any category, that you need these 1,000 true fans, as they put it, and there is a science behind why the number is 1,000. So when we launched Goki, we actually started with the beta program, and we said we only have 1,000 Gokis we're going to give up, and there is a beta program. You have to apply, and you have to pay us some 10,000. I don't know, were any people who applied for our beta program here? I think there were a couple, maybe. Yeah, you had applied for it a long time back. So they were literally, we got not 1,000, we got more people applying to us and telling why they need to be given Goki first. And we said we only have 1,000 and all of that. Of course, we had more. But the idea was we wanted to identify those people who wanted to be part of this versus people who didn't care about it. And that's how we went about building the movement. The other important thing is that to be part of the movement, you need to lead from the front. Like you saw the example. Today, if you have a problem on Twitter, and if you tweet on Facebook, Twitter, 90% of the time you will get a reply from me. And then you will get a reply from our COO. Our customer service agent is actually the last line of defense, not the first line of defense. Normally, and this is completely changed because if you are trying to make a movement, you need to lead from the front. And this is what comes to customer service also. A lot of brands they're like, escalation should come to me. I think the world has changed. Today, if you're on Twitter, you expect immediate response. You expect somebody not giving you some random reply that, sir, we will get back to you, and it's too late. You want somebody who knows what you're talking about. So as a leadership or as your key team members, if they are not doing customer service front end, they are not going to win, especially in the new age, where customers can immediately have a bad experience and immediately tell it to thousands of other people. Versus, so the first email you get is again from me when you join Goki, not from some no reply at something.com. Most companies send you emails from there. In that case, the mail will come from me, and again, there is a high probability, unless I'm traveling or something, the reply will come from me if you have a query. And that's how you need to look at customer service, which is completely reverse the way customer service was normally done. And your first customers should become your best friends. And this is exactly what happened to me. These are again 3 people who were part of our early beta program. And now we created a special club, which we call Goki Titans. So Titans are people who were with us from 2014. And as I said, they have come and stayed in my house. We have partied together. Again, they're great people. But the bottom line is that we made an effort to connect with them, to learn with them. So I can exactly tell you what they eat, what they do. You have to literally live the life of what your consumers are doing. And if you don't do that, you would never figure out their pain points, their challenges, and so on and so forth. And the best thing is that while these people were ordinary people, today they have become our biggest brand ambassadors. And they're not getting paid or anything from us. They're doing it because they genuinely saw that this is a movement and they're helping us do it. And similarly, for all product categories, whether it is using Paytm or Book My Show or all of these things, and I think politicians also do this really well with their messaging and so on, a lot of times you need to garner people who are willing to support you. And if, again, you miss that as a brand, you will never be able to generate the word of mouth to do this. And once again, I talked about tribes. So there was a time I was the only one running in Marine Drive and running marathons. Today, I can tell you that there are literally, thousands of people across the country who do active, who do yoga, who do running. In fact, the best joke I found was that I was once in Goa on Easter Sunday. This was 7 a.m. I was at the gym. And I saw this one guy. I said, who the hell is in the gym on a Sunday morning on Easter? And lo and behold, he was a Goki user. And what were the odds of that happening? And that is what was the big difference, that when you find somebody who is trying to follow what you're doing. So we had to create it as a movement. And again, this needs to be led from the front. You would see me, my team, we are all doing it because we believe in it. You cannot fake this. So this is in health and fitness. For example, when it comes to other product categories, when it comes to payments, e-commerce, etc., I love the fact when Sachin Bansal went in the van to deliver products from Flipkart. That was another very big thing because it was like some leading from the front. And again, there are various examples of this happening. But the bottom line is, unless you are able to physically connect with these users, so we have literally, forget 1,000, we have face-to-face connected with a few thousand people. And that is what got us the understanding their problems, what they want to fix, and we kept upgrading our apps, upgrading our hardware, and so on. But if you don't create what I call tribes, and if you don't have a tribe, you cannot, again, generate the word of mouth, and people want to be part of that tribe. Somebody had a question? Yeah. Go ahead.
Number 6, hi. This is Kuldeep Kamath. I'm a co-founder at redcherry.io. We're an Internet of Things company for enterprise, helping companies reduce their cost of operations through data visibility. My question is, how do you create this word of mouth, especially for B2B businesses, right? And how do you create like some sort of an incentive scheme or get the word out for B2B?
So first of all, as I said, right, in fact, B2B is much more easier because you know the few people you want to really influence. The other thing is that if your product has helped them solve a problem, they will be willing to refer you. You can't give people, money cannot buy you referrals. In fact, what gets you referrals is creating a product which is solving the problem. If it is not, then you can't do that.
Yeah, but like from a branding perspective, can you give us like a couple of examples of B2Bs who've done like a stellar job in this space?
So let me give you an example from our side, because by the way, we also are B2B. We go to companies and give them Go keys for their companies. So here is an example. You see the gentleman on the right, on the left here. His name is Kamal Karnatak. He's one of India's top CIOs. And he's also the head of the CIO Association. We never knew it, that's what he is. He was one of the early Goki users. He started using Goki. So one of the things we do is we ask them, what do you do? And we figured out that he, of course, was a CIO, etc. And he had given us thousands of inputs because being a technical guy, you know, all these people. A lot of times, what you do is somebody's saying. What we did is we actually took a lot of those inputs, implemented it in the product, gave him the updates, and he saw how the product evolved to the extent that he started feeling that he was literally our product manager sitting somewhere else giving us the inputs. And he actually then formed his own group called CIO, Goki CIOs group. I know some CIOs here are part of that group. And he started telling all other CIOs that, guys, and by the way, he lost some 20 kgs on Goki and so on. And you can Google his story on how, from not being able to run 300 meters, he just did 42 kilometers full marathon. So he became one of those things, and he literally has got every major CIO of the country on our platform. And today, when we go to any B2B company, it's very highly likely that the CIO knows about us or already our user. And that happened because there was one guy who was so happy with this that he did it on his own because it was helping. So similarly, if you solve a problem for the one person in a great way, they will tell others. This is how humans are built. Because when they are meeting other people from their industry, they will tell them that, by the way, this is what I did. And that is how these things work. Of course, word of mouth is probably more important in B2B than B2C, because B2B is all about relationship selling, as you know. In fact, a lot of times, B2B, especially in the enterprise space, for example, if you have a negative word of mouth, you have a bigger problem, because most people ask each other and know each other. So it becomes that much more important for you to solve. So,
Vishal?
Sorry, yeah. Oh, yeah.
A question, yeah. Hi, I'm Animesh from NLP Bots. We automate conversations. So we use NLP AI to automate conversations. My question to you is, how do you manage
NLP AI? Sorry,
natural
too
language,
many words. Yeah.
Natural language processing, artificial intelligence. So we understand natural language inputs, process it, and respond to it based on. So my question to you is, how do you manage scale? So you said you're your first customer's line of defense. So how are you going to scale that? Even in the case of your experts, you have real human experts, right?
Try sending a tweet and you will get a response.
Yeah, I know, but how would you manage for scale? So if you have another 200,000 users, another 1 million users, would you be adding on that many more experts? Would you be yourself trying to do that? Or, I mean, do you have a bot strategy?
No, we don't have a bot strategy. In fact, what we figured out was people hate talking to bots. If they realize that there's a bot talking, they get even more agitated. So we don't use bots, but we use NLP and other things, but that's on the back-end side. So the question is that in the early stages of your business, you will do a lot of things which don't scale. So do not worry about scaling. Like I said, the first 1,000 customers are what you need to influence. Unke to ghar pe bhi jao aapko jana hai to. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about when you have 10 million customers, you may have to adopt a different strategy. Maybe I may have to have 2 assistants under me who may be replying to those tweets and so on. But I'm now talking about the influencers who you are getting on board. That's what I'm talking about. So scale, of course, not everything can scale at the first time, and that's something, at a different stage of a company, you may have to do different things.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's a good question, and we need to give him a T-shirt, man. He looks very intelligent. He can wear our T-shirt and market us also. Please come and get your T-shirt. Yep. Yeah, go ahead. No, I think you may have to use the mic. I don't think so others can hear you. We have only 30 more minutes, guys.
Hi, Vishal?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I run a startup called Wardrobe, which is in personal styling. So I see a lot of things that resonate with my startup. The thing that I had was that we created a platform where we right now made a decision to invite the coaches as you have as image consultants and
So
stylists
sorry,
on
you
our
are running a
platform.
personal styling startup, right?
Correct, yeah.
What shirt are you wearing?
A blue shirt.
No. What brand is it?
Oh, it's Banana Republic.
Sorry?
Banana Republic.
Banana Republic. And who has done your styling?
Right now it's myself.
So then that's the problem, right? So a challenge is if you are running a personal styling startup and you are not stylish and not having some goggles, etc., you would your customer will never trust you in the first place, saying ki yaar, you are not even getting yourself styled. How will you make other people style?
So let me ask you that
So
question.
let me complete my point, right? So you need to be the brand ambassador of your product first. So if you are not styling yourself, how can you sell other people's styling solutions?
So, I mean, I didn't want to bring this up, but so same way as you, right? So if you had to be a fitness mascot, you wouldn't be that, but you still basically are standing up for that.
Well, I was on Everest Base Camp 6 months back. So, no, just to complete, guys, this is a serious thing, right? I have done 14 half marathons. I was on Everest Base Camp last year. I just finished 100 kilometers trail walk. I have done Chakrasan just in front of you. So
I mean-
clearly, my point is that you need to represent what you are saying. Goki is not about weight loss. So if I become really thin, we are not Goki, remember that. So the bottom line is that if you are unable to represent your brand, your consumers will not trust you.
So I actually didn't have that. So I might not be the perfect, and that's fair feedback. I guess the question was more actually from the strategy that you said that you wanted to create a voice for your brand. And you said that basically you had the Maria as the sound of music model. But I'm saying that if your influencers, or let's say your coaches themselves have a personal persona, right? So each of them have done things in life, and you are still creating a mask to say that this is Goki, everybody else is just another person on the platform, then is there another strategy where you can have each person kind of have their own persona in your platform?
So interesting point. 98% of our coaches are women right now. They go through a certification program. It's a 3 to 4 week certification program. In the certification program, there are modules on how to communicate. We will not change their personality, but there are communication styles. For example, there is something called asking open-ended questions, which is a communication strategy. Then there is a strategy which says it's called ask, tell, ask, which is another strategy of conversations. So we actually take them through conversation strategies on how to do these things. So there is it's called cognitive behavior therapy. There is an entire, so they actually go through training on how to communicate. So you just cannot become a coach on our platform. There is a method to how coaching is done. So of course you will have 20% of your personality or 30% of your personality, but how you communicate is part of what we do.
Okay, and so was there a conscious decision to say that we're not going to be an enabler as a platform to let other people come and interact with other influencers, or you wanted to actually own the experts?
So we want to own the entire user experience, because when somebody is on Goki, they have on our platform, so like Uber, when you get an Uber, you can't say, we don't know who the taxi driver is. The Uber is, in a way, taking responsibility of the experience. So even in our case, we take the responsibility of end-to-end experience, and that's what works.
Okay, thanks.
So this was another very interesting question. Of a lot of times people talk about brand ambassadors. When we asked our users, who should be our brand ambassador? This was I've put some verbatim responses. So people said that, I am your brand ambassador. Most people on our platform, so it was either me or my coach. The only two people they thought who Goki should sign up as a brand ambassador was this. And this is another question which I don't know a lot of people whether you, again, I'm not saying this is, we may still have somebody else as our brand ambassador, but the question really was whether somebody said my coach Mahima Khan is the brand ambassador, or somebody saying that Goki is giving immerse game for me, don't associate with any celebrity. So in our case, since we were trying to create the whole persona of a movement, and that's what happens when you are part of a movement, you want to become the person celebrating it. And this is the kind of things which drive word of mouth. When consumers consider themselves as the brand ambassador of the product. Like I am the brand ambassador of Paytm. Wherever I go, I see somebody like my squash coach. I converted him to, I said, forget all this, take Paytm, it's so easy to pay you whenever it is. Or I don't know how many of you have converted people to Uber. Whenever a lot of my, especially certain senior people who are still using the taxis, I'm literally installing the Uber or Ola app and telling them do this. So you are almost becoming the brand ambassador of that particular product or category. And that is what you need to achieve. And that's what we worked consciously towards doing this. This was not something we did by, this was like an experiment or something. We actually worked consciously towards it, yeah. How many red t-shirts and red shoes? Only one. No. I mean, yeah, I mean, again, that is not linked. I used to wear red t-shirts even before. But the bottom line is that goes back to simplicity. I think, I believe that we need to start reducing our choices. In fact, there is this thing, I don't know if everybody knows, willpower. Everybody has willpower, but willpower is a muscle. Every time you make a decision, you deplete willpower in your body. So, which is why early in the morning, you are all energetic, you can do everything, and by the evening, you just cannot do things, and you may have done nothing, you may be just sitting in your office, because what happens is, every time you decide, your willpower reduces. And which is why when you go to Starbucks, they're like, which coffee do you want? Do you want venti latte? Do you want this cream, that cream? They keep asking you these questions, and your brain is designed to making decisions every time. And just the fact that people are asking you questions and you're making decisions, it can stress you out and make you spend more. So there are techniques on asking these questions around this. So coming back to your thing, if every morning I have to wake up and decide what clothes to wear, that depletes your willpower. So best thing is I don't have to worry about at least one thing in my life on what clothes and shoes to wear. I'm even trying to go back to food and saying that these are certain foods I'm just going to eat and repeat, so on. So if you can at least adopt some of these things, I know the women may not like it, but at least some of the guys here can look at reducing some of their wardrobes, clothes, shoes, and reduce the number of decisions you take, and that can really help you. Yeah. Yeah. You can ask.
Basically, I run a fitness startup. The name is Priya's Wellness, and I'm running this. Basically, we have fitness centers. We train into yoga, Zumba, nutrition counseling, weight loss, obesity, everything. Now, I'm constantly facing a challenge from last almost 2 to 3 years. Is that the members join in, and we have several packages for 3 months, 6 months, and they discontinue in between. And I have tried all my efforts, like, all forms of marketing, promotion, being very creative, giving personal attention, giving value-added services besides what we have promised. But still this instability is there. Like, people come, they go, and in between they disappear. So how do you maintain this consistency? Yes, I also try to pull in new customers. In fact, every time my effort is to get in new people, but I also want to retain the earlier ones. So
I think,
how is this like?
So the answer in this lies not of the people who have discontinued. The answer lies in what have you done for people who have continued. And studying that will give you the answer of what is missing. For example, in Goki, we are able to classify people into what we call engagement levels. And we have an algorithm which we call motivation mining. So we are able to figure out, we can give you a motivation score. And we know people who are above a particular motivation score are more likely to continue on the platform versus people on lower motivation scores. And people who are on lower motivation scores, we have ability to message them, even call them and say what's wrong. So the point is that there are many signals you will get for somebody who doesn't want to continue, saying they will not come for 3 classes together, or they'll come to 1 class late. I'm just giving an example. So there are a lot of human behavior patterns which come in, which indicate that. For example, we figured out that on day 18th, something happens to our users when they come on our platform. And on day 18th, for some people, the engagement drops. So we're figuring out what can we do on day 18th, for example. So again, the answer is study the people who have done it successfully and what were their behaviors, and see people who are not doing it. And that is what, and this happens through observing consumer behavior. More marketing is not going to solve your problem. That's the whole thing. It's about, by just putting 5 more ads and saying I'm going to give you discount will still not get the people, unless you need to know what was the behavior which you did. And that may get you the answer somehow. And this is true for all product categories. When consumers leave, you need to figure out what made them, it was not just price. They'll say it is too expensive or I didn't have time. This is the two common excuses people will give you, and these are not true. These are the most, it's like every day I get a call from some credit card company. I say, I already have your credit card, or I don't need credit card. That's not true. It was just a thing I told them because I didn't want something. And same thing, I'm sure everybody has got home loan calls and all these calls, and you say all these things. They may not be true at all. You just want them to go off your back. In fact, I have told people that I have got many debt, don't give me loan. I am already defaulter in many banks, so they stopped calling me also. So that is what it is, right? So the bottom line is that you have to figure out what is going on from a behavior perspective. So coming back to another very interesting aspect of being what is called the purple cow. Does anybody know what the purple cow is? Of course, holy cows we all know, we are in India, but there's something called the purple cow. So the purple cow is about, and this again is a amazing book which I'll talk about, that today, in today's world, you need to be what is called remarkable. If you are going down and you see hundreds of cows, nothing is going to happen. But suddenly if you see a cow who is purple color, you will take a picture, tweet it immediately, put it on Instagram, send it on WhatsApp groups and say, what the hell, I just saw a purple cow. And you can actually work on creating purple cow moments for your brand. And purple cow moments are extremely important. And what it simply means is you need to be remarkable. You need to do something which is beyond the ordinary. And we do 2 such purple cow events every year by design. And I'll tell you what these purple cow events are. And you can find your own purple cows. So one is, every year we participate in a 100-kilometer trail walk. So we take our users, absolutely who are unfit, who have not done anything, we train them, and then we make them walk in 48 hours in jungles and mountains and everywhere, and you can Google it, there are videos of this called the Oxfam Goki Trail Walker, to complete a 100-kilometer trail walk. Now, why did we not do 5K and 10K and 21K and marathons? Because everybody is doing it today. In fact, the funny thing is that the definition of marathon itself has gone wrong. People walk 2 kilometers and say, I did a marathon. So today, running a marathon is no longer considered remarkable. On Facebook, you see thousands of people who have done marathons. So it is no longer something which you talk about. But if you do something as crazy as this, which is walking 100 kilometers, how many of you have walked 100 kilometers here? Okay, you have done. Oxfam, you part of that? No. Sorry? Okay, mountain. What about you? How many? 20 100. So the bottom line is, by the way, I have done this 100-kilometer trail walk now 5th year is what I have done. It's crazy. It takes 35 hours, and you do it with 4 other people. You raise money for charity and so on. But the bottom line is that whenever I'm in an event, or if some of the people have done 100 kilometers in an event, they're like, okay, marathon runners, you're good. I know people have run marathons, but how many have done 100 kilometers? So suddenly, people, and every year we take, this year we took, I think, 150 people, we take 200 people. It's not a huge crowd, but it's a small group of people who we train, and we go, and believe me, they talk about this 100 kilometers for the rest of their life, because it is the highest high anybody could ever get. And this happens in 2 cities, Bangalore and Bombay, in December. So anybody who wants to join up for 100 kilometers, sign up to Goki, and I can guarantee you, we will train you for that, and you will be able to do 100 kilometers. And next time your neighbor or office colleague tells you that he just did his marathon, you can show him the thumb. The next thing is, we went to Everest Base Camp. So once again, and by the way, this was a very interesting group of people. One of them had sleep apnea. Most of them, like me, were obese or overweight, let's put it that way. But again, the challenge was that, yeah, people have done mountaineering, people have done trekking. How many of you have gone to Everest Base Camp? And by the way, after we did this journey, we have got covered on Economic Times. The amount of PR we got, and all organic, we did not do anything. The fact that these entrepreneurs and everybody had their own stories of people who have done this, and we invested in this event. It was not a very high expense. It was only taking 8 people to Everest Base Camp. But it was remarkable, because you don't know of how many people who go to Everest Base Camp. So these are two examples, and similarly, you can find a lot of things you can do in your category or in your product or in your business where you can do things which are remarkable. And remarkable things are what people talk about. This is why a lot of companies try to do Guinness Book of World Records, but unfortunately, Guinness Book of World Record itself has become so common that you no longer care about it. But that's just one example. Yeah, there's a question here.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm Sohil, and I run a company called Retail Guru, which provides online training to retailers. And my question is, you said that don't give anything free. And if we talk about customer life cycle, it says that first customer know you, first step is know you, then like, then trust, then try, and then buy. So if we follow the customer life cycle, it says that you need to give free. And as you said that you don't need to provide anything free. So how will you connect this?
So today, in today's world, so again, as I said, right, I don't know your category well, but in today's world, if you are offering a service and consumers are not willing to pay for it, if you're giving them training and say, I'll give you 5 free training sessions, the value of that is much, much lower in the consumer's mind and people who are taking the service versus somebody willing to pay for it. Even though the amount may be small. So I'm not saying that you need to charge them your full rate. You may say, I'm charging you 20%. But somebody who pays that 20% and takes your service are more serious customers than somebody who takes it for free. That's really what we are talking about. So it is not, it may be even 10% of the cost. But don't give for free. That's the, and they may be like video today, since YouTube, every video is free, that might be a different example where you may want them to show 3 video shows before you convert. But there are examples like this. But if you're offering a training as a service or yoga or whatever else as a service, if people, free sessions, everybody will come, but the minute you want to charge them, they'll disappear. So figure out some way where they can even pay lower and they come as a first session that may work.
Thank you. Hello. Yeah. Vishal, I have a question.
Where? Sorry.
Here.
Yeah.
Adding to his question, like you said that like free customer is a worst customer, right? And you also said that word of mouth is essential. So if you, until and unless you don't get the customer, whether it's a free or paid, it's a secondary thing. But until and unless you get the customer, how word of mouth will
So
happen?
I told you it's about getting 1,000 such customers. So the science is that if you can get 1,000 paid users who are passionate about, not people who hate your product, if you can get 1,000 people who say, I love this product, then you are creating a product which can generate word of mouth.
Correct. But until and unless you get the first customer, right? So if you charge customer, right? So most probably they won't try your product at the first instance. But if you give it a free, it happens like it probably try your product, okay? And they will give your frank feedback or word of mouth will happen. So what do you
let me
think
give you
about?
another example. Yeah. So currency has various meanings. Currency means today data. Data is a currency. So a lot of companies want you to download the app, just put one email address and start using the app. We saw those customers were much lower because they never gave us anything. Now you have a customer, tell him, give us your name, address, this, that, make them give you 4 pages of data and still give them for free, which means they've invested now with all these information. They are more serious customers than somebody who just gave you email address and started using the product. So what I'm trying to say is that it is not the consumer who is very easily acquired. If you just ask email address and say register and start using the product, you may get 1 lakh people using it, but they will be of very poor quality. The minute you say, give me your name, address, what's your height, weight, 4 other things, you may have a huge drop-off, not 1 lakh, maybe 20,000 people will sign up, but they will be of higher quality. Then if you say, pay me 100 rupees, you may get 10,000, not even, maybe you may have 1,000 people, but they are of even higher quality. So the question is, today you are wasting your effort going after the entire thing and then doing carpet bombing, as I said. So the free strategy goes back to the carpet bombing strategy. Well, of course, I'm not saying you will not get conversion. There is a conversion rate. as an early stage startup, if you want to get to 1,000 customers, so my point is your goal should not be I want 1 million customers on day 0. Your goal should start with 100 customers, 1,000 customers, maybe then 10,000, then a little ahead. And till you don't fix your product experience, do not advertise, because there is no point in getting more people and wasting it. So that is really the context of it.
Okay. By the way, I am a Goki user and I would like to share my story.
No, have you shared it? Have you got other people on the platform?
Yeah.
Okay, then it's good, yeah. Please, what's your name, sorry?
My name is Malay. I am from Butler. It's a business analytics tool. So my story is like I don't remember I even wear a watch except my exams. Okay, and after Goki, I don't remember I missed a single day.
So good, yeah, good job, fantastic. Thank you. So please send your refer code to others. We need to get some more users in. But I mean, the bottom line is, and I hope you are not a paid plug or something, right? You are genuinely asking this, right? Because a lot of people think that. But the bottom line is that is what we are seeing, that once people use it, they want to tell others. That's the natural instinct, and I hope you have done that too. So I think we have a little more time left. Let me just complete one more. Okay,
last question. You said that...
By the way, you should get a Goki t-shirt. Excuse me. We need to give him a Goki t-shirt, man. Please come, yeah. Yeah.
You said that free advertisement is not recommended, right? Right now. So how would you...
Not free advertisement.
The free, free, what do you call it?
Free user.
Free user is not recommended. How would you evaluate the Reliance Jio? Recently they have launched.
Well, Reliance Jio is not free. They have taken your Aadhaar.
Of course, but
sorry.
But 3 months, there's 6 months, they extended their the schemes. So how would you?
So Reliance Jio is not a free user. You have given ton of your data to sign up to the service. That's what I'm trying to say. It is not free. You have given ton of your data. If it was free is when they were distributing the SIM cards. You have given your data, right? You have given your entire Aadhaar data to them. So there is a price you have paid. You don't value that is a different thing, but there is a price you have paid. And now they are going to convert it to a paid user base. No, your entire data, when you give your Aadhaar data, the entire data of your identity, everything is given to... What I'm saying is that there is a gate. Again, it may not be entirely free or entirely paid, but there is a gate where you have given information to get it. That's a currency. Information is also currency today.
What the...
Absolutely, you have to. What extra in what sense? See, the bottom line is that if it was free, 100% of the people in this room should have got Jio. Correct? If it was free, it should have just come in your mailbox. Here is your Jio SIM. Today, that doesn't happen. They have to come, they have to register you, you have to willingly go, create your account, give your data, and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying is there is a gate to set up, versus saying that give me my email address and I'm giving you a Jio. That's the difference. Not now. One second. And I'm saying that that's not... Does everybody in this room have Jio? So that's what I'm saying. You are willingly going to sign up for the service. Anyway, my point is the debate... See, different models have different things. I'm trying to give you the framework of how you are generating word of mouth. Jio's problem also, you know the word of mouth on, if you go to Twitter, you will see the word of mouth which is going around. So the bottom line is that when you do a service like this with whatever 100 million people, the word of mouth is finally what makes a difference. And I think we don't need to debate that part of word of mouth right now. Any other questions?
Hi, Vishai.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, this is Marwa. I am with the Magna Services, helping the people build a formidable team. Vishal, I've been looking at your logo. and this is a little bit different than normal.
Yeah.
I just want to know what thought went behind designing it. What were the real meaning of this thing, when you track, quotes, and plus minus? That's what I want to know.
No.
Thank
So, by the way, that's a story. So, let me go back
that
to
story, if you can put it snappy.
So the bottom line is there needs to be stories everywhere. And of course, we could not design a logo without a story. So the story is very simple. The G is actually a U-turn. And that's the first step of making a lifestyle change. We say take a U-turn. The minus stands for remove negativity. The plus stands for add positivity. And the 2 I's stand for good karma, which is think beyond yourself. And if you follow these 4 steps, the result is be the force. So there is a story behind how we created the brand. And I'm glad you asked it. So,
Vishal. Vishal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Nischint Sangvi. I'm from Wrapped. It's an online gift registry portal. I had a question. So how do you manage your expectations from these 1,000 customers which you acquired? Because if you're making them your brand ambassadors, they're giving you a lot of feedback. How do you incorporate all the feedback without making them feel bad about certain things? Because especially when you have a radical idea, you cannot make everybody happy. So how do you manage that?
Your question is how do we take their feedback?
Not just take the feedback, but take the feedback and make sure that you can do something about it without changing your vision completely.
Got it. Sorry, let me just go back here. So, first of all, when you take consumer feedback, the way we do it is we look at how many people have similar ideas. If out of 100, only 2 people have said something, versus out of 190 people have said something, that is the weightage of what you look at ideas. Of course, the good thing is that consumers are smart. And whenever they give feedback, what they're mostly looking for is recognition. So we always, when some consumer spends time giving feedback, we would give them a t-shirt. We will basically make them feel acknowledged and valued. That is more important. So a lot of times when consumers give feedback, they do it because they care. In fact, the worst thing is when consumers don't give you feedback. So what they need is acknowledgement. Not everybody is upset that you didn't put my feedback in necessarily. And acknowledgement helps in most of the cases.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been, Vishal.
Sorry.
Here. Left.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I've been reading about you since years now. I just ordered on Amazon.
Okay, that's good.
So I hope I'll be there someday.
Thank you.
Thanks, yeah.
Oh, you just ordered Goki. Okay, good. So by the way, today there's a deal going on Amazon if you buy it. I don't know, I've just made it up, but you can buy it anyway. So finally, I think the other question is around PR. I know there's a lot of people who talk about, I know there are companies who say I have a PR agency and I have spent 3 lakhs on it per month and I'm not getting any PR. And there's this whole thing around PR. Clearly, my simple rule is that you have to be your own publicist. And everything you do and say is public relations. There could be a PR agency who could coordinate. PR agency can maximum send email or get an appointment, and some PR agencies might even somehow get you to meet an editor or a journalist. But in today's world, every journalist is on Twitter. Every journalist is on Facebook. They are following you. They want to talk to you. They want to communicate with you directly. And as I said, you need to have an opinion on a lot of things which are going on. Like I just tweeted about, as you know, PM Modi has released a new health policy yesterday with our health minister, and I tweeted it, and guess who was retweeting me? It was the health minister. So the good thing is that whenever in your industry there might be so many things happening, so you should have an opinion on it. And when you have opinions on it, and when you tweet about it, or when you talk about it, journalists are automatically looking at you, and you can be a complete nobody. You don't have to be anybody. Having an opinion makes a difference, and that gets you, of course, that may also get you on right or wrong side, but you have to take a side. A lot of people don't say things thinking that I'll be safe, but you cannot get publicity in that sense. Secondly, in today's world, PR is also a give and take relationship. It's no longer one way, which used to be that I have disseminated my press release to 1,000 people and that has happened. Today, that is not how it is. You need to develop relationships with journalists. And again, as friends, as customers, or you don't only need to meet them when you have a news story. You need to meet them whenever you're at events, and you need to work on developing relationships with them. And no PR agency can do this for you. You cannot outsource public relationship. You can outsource coordination, you can outsource appointment setting and so on, but finally, you need to lead this on your front, and that's what, if you see a lot of people end up doing. Finally, I love this slide because influencing the influencers becomes very important. And sometimes this influence doesn't require any money. Think about it. We took a banana and we wrote "Be the Force" on it. And there was Milind Soman and everybody else wanting to show the banana to everybody. So the point, again, is that in today's world, it's not about spending money. By the way, the only thing we spent here is 2 rupees on that banana. And Milind was posting it everywhere. So the question today is that in every field, there are influencers. The good news about social media is that even a person with maybe 1,000 followers could be an influencer in their circle. And you can do smart things to figure out how do you influence them. Because they also want to talk to their audience about relevant things. And once you figure out those things, it becomes very, very interesting. So what we did, and one of the other example I want to tell you, is we recently this year launched something called the Goki Fellowship. So we said, of course, we can't afford to pay money to all these influencers. But we identified certain to-be influencers who we thought are going to be influencers of the future and who are doing some very, very good work. For example, we have Kona over here, Kalyani, who is working on an app which is dating app for handicap. And she's now been very well, you name UN, you take any forum, and everybody's talking about what she's doing. She's only 23 years old. And one of the smartest person. And we gave her a fellowship, and we have an entire fellowship program, and we are working with her, mentoring her. But what has now happened is, again, there was no commercial dealing between us and her, but we are helping her promote herself, and she is in turn becoming a Goki Fellow and representing us. Similarly, we have over here on the left, Kuntal, who is the world's first vegan to scale Mount Everest. Now, we know vegans pehle hi kam hai, and it's a new thing and everybody's curious about veganism. And here is a vegan who has gone and scaled Mount Everest. He's a super influencer. You should listen to his talks. Again, somebody who we made a fellow. We have Samara in the center, who is working on alternative treatments for cancer. Again, in the health space, she's a big influencer now because everybody is looking at alternates. And we, of course, have Devyanshu. By the way, Devyanshu, you need to Google this man. He's incredible. He's the first blind person who's done paragliding. He's done scuba diving. He has done tandem cycling from Manali to Khardungla. And what he does is he trains blind kids to run marathons. He has an amazing story. A guy like him is, very rare to find. What people with, full eyes cannot do, he's able to do. And he's again a Goki Fellow. And we have Devyanshu Ganatra. Devyanshu. And we have other fellows. These are just examples. So we took them and we adopted them, literally. We are working with them. We are doing their social media. We are helping them in their pages and so on. And we are helping them promote themselves as a marketing strategy. So we are spending on a team which is saying we will help you write blogs. We'll help you promote them. They are not talking about Goki. We are promoting them. One of the other things is not listed here, and you should check his YouTube channel. It's called Beer Biceps. A guy called Ranveer, again 24 years old. He has one of the most successful fitness YouTube channel. Beer Biceps. So he's young. He talks about how you can drink beer but still be healthy with biceps. So that's the concept of Ranveer. Again, money can't buy you these things. But if you adopt them and work with them to promote them, because the influencers also need support. And we worked on a strategy. And again, you can identify influencers in your own divisions, in your own, like in cyber security or NLP. I don't know, you're talking about NLP. I'm sure there are some people in IIT, some scientists here and there who are influencers and they need their own marketing support. So you help others, which is a very, very odd concept, because when we told people that we are going to be helping others and it is no marketing for us at all, people were unable to believe it. But that is what is helping. And today, by the way, these people are so amazing that when we have sessions in corporates, they are actually coming to speak in these sessions and telling about their stories. And that is what is again creating a buzz for everybody, for them, for Goki the brand, and even our consumers and users who get to interact with them. We only have 2 minutes left, so hopefully, again, I just want to, somebody who bought on Amazon, we have the highest rating on Amazon, by the way. Yeah, and again, this is organic. We have over 900 typed reviews on Amazon. Again, money can't buy you that. You know, you can put 4 fake reviews or 10 fake reviews, but over 900 people have reviewed us. And we focus a lot on that. So every consumer who's happy, we ask them if they can, rate us on Amazon or review us. And that is really, again, which is driving a lot of consumers. And finally, we talk about something called seeding. Seeding, again, becomes very interesting. So we go to events, like, for example, in TiECon, every year, all the speakers are gifted Goki. Because these are, again, people who are influential, who, of course, value health. And the fact that they are being gifted this gives them value. Getting something free is not important, but if you were speaking in a conference or if you get that as a gift, people value it a lot more. So we decided that Goki should become a valuable gift to people who love. And we decided that, and we've partnered with events, we've partnered many places. So if you look at, again, on Twitter, you will see a lot of places, and again, we identify what these places are, where Goki is given as a gift. And the perception is that if X brand is giving Goki as a gift, for example, we had Quaker Oats do a whole contest with us where people were given Goki. We had an entire campaign with Tetley tea, green tea. So you have to choose the brands. We will not do a campaign with certain brands we can't associate with, but again, seeding becomes important. So you need to figure out who are the complementary brands in your space where you can bundle or give your service. If you are giving free, it needs to be done in a fashion like this, where the perception is it is not free. I've earned it, becomes really important. The other thing which you look at, and by the way, I recommend you to visit, there are many sites, but there's one site I go to, it's called Trend Hunter, trendhunter.com. So it tells you what are the global trends which are happening in the world, and how can you adopt some of those trends into your product or service. It has a trend report, it's incredible. So for example, one trend they talked about this year is very big. They call it Instagrammable fitness. In the health space, what is happening is everybody wants to post their picture doing something around health, doing a push-up, eating an apple. So Instagrammable fitness has become a massive trend. So what we do is now all our events, even if you look at what we do, everything in Goki, you can actually tweet, take a picture and post it, because people want to be seen posting things which make them look good. And this is one of the massive global trends, not just us. So we are not creating a new trend. We are basically latching on to a trend. So for example, in your case, you should actually have a little zone in your place where after the thing, you should give people opportunity to take pictures and post it. And we have seen that people are loving it, because the minute they post a picture, others will ask them, what is this? And they'll like it and so on. And that kind of starts working. And there are many, there are thousands of such trends. Like I told you, this trend of guilt-free indulgence was a trend in 2014, which we looked at. Of course, that trend has now become mainstream, but you need to spot these trends much earlier before they become mainstream. And there are many companies, many websites, all free, largely free. Of course, you can pay and even buy a report, which we don't do, figure out a way to get it for free. But they actually sell a trend report for a few $1,000s or something, where you can look at it. And of course, I would not recommend you to buy the report. You can get a lot of these things free. The 3 books I talked about, which I think you should read, which will give you an interesting idea. So one, of course, is going to be around 1,000 True Fans, which is all about how to go after the first 1,000 customers who will become your viral agents, who will talk about your product and your service to the rest of the world. The second is about purple cows. Seth Godin talks about how to be remarkable. If you are remarkable, the 1,000 people can talk about you in much more depth and much more details, of course. And there's another book, and of course, this is a slightly different thing, but it is the everything store of Amazon. So Amazon is a company which is actually not selling any product. What they believe is they are selling the best service. and they could be selling everything. And if you understand the ethos of Amazon, you will understand that how can you sell anything, literally anything, but having certain values right. And I think I was not surprised that Amazon is winning in India, even though what they're doing is nothing different. I mean, every other company already knew their strategy. The strategy is there. Everybody could have read that what is Amazon going to be doing next is already written. But still people could not figure that out. So I think everybody should read this book. And of course, there is another book which I hope you would read. I just want to tell you, just today we are making this announcement that Harvard has done a case study on Goki. I think it's going to go live anytime. So we've got, so Harvard, again, we were surprised when we had these two professors come and spend a lot of time and ask us many things, and we were like, what the hell are they doing? And even though we don't encourage people to do MBAs and learn about it, but yeah, this is now going to become one of the case studies in MBA schools in Harvard. And so you can go online. They are going to charge you for the case study. All I can tell you is that I have anyway told you most of the things here, so you don't need to waste your money on the Harvard case study. But the bottom line is that that is what happens. We have become remarkable. I mean, otherwise, we are just a 3-4-year-old startup. You know, it's not like we have done anything huge. We are still small. But what we've been able to do is get the attention of the right people and ultimately get people to talk about it. And now that we have become a case study, we'll be having many MBAs and all these other kind of people also talk about it. So great then. I think we are just about finished with time. I think we have time for one last. How many T-shirts are remaining, by the way? We have 2 T-shirts left, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was, thanks for the talk, Vishal. There was a discussion on Geo, and I'm from Geo, so I would.
So everybody gets a free Geo SIM?
Yeah, for sure. So I think you guys were asking free, why free? You know, there's difference in the difference of vision, there's a difference of business model, there's a difference of scale expectation. And
by the way, we need 100 rupees.
What is that? Okay.
Prime membership.
Prime membership is 100 rupees. But I must, I think a few things which I don't know this, a lot of India knows about, but India used to be ranking like 154 in terms of broadband, mobile broadband penetration. Today it stands at number 1, globally speaking. India, if you look at it, so in terms of total data which Jio does, it's actually more than what the entire
Jio
data
is
done by
amazing.
US.
We love Jio, so let's get to the question.
The point really is that if you have a scale expectation of 100 million in 100 days, then you have to operate in the market in a very different way. So you would definitely lose some users post X point of time, but that's the decision you take. So if the vision is so large and you need to move things at a certain speed, so it's a difference of business model. It's so different companies will have different business models. So Jio's case is different.
Absolutely.
That's the only thing
I
I
agree.
want to say.
And again, as I said, it's not that this is a different word of mouth model. I know Jio has spent tons of money in marketing. I mean, your infrastructure costs and so on. It's a very different business model. So great job, and I also have a Jio SIM now, so I love it. In fact, I'm getting 2 more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Differentiate. You spoke about the fact that.
Done. Yeah, last question.
There are issues with free sampling as such and creating free trials. And parallelly, you also spoke about seeding as a potential way of acquiring a critical mass and getting people to experience the product. So how do you differentiate?
So seeding is different than giving something free. That's what I was saying. So the whole idea of seeding is, so it's like just taking and just spreading across. That's the whole strategy around carpet bombing. When you talk about seeding, you identify a group, figure out what you want to do with them, figure out a value proposition, and make them earn that whole thing. The earning can be in different ways. You could just go have a booth and say, I want you to play this one game, and we'll give this to you for free. But the fact that you made them throw some darts and get it makes it earned versus I got it for free. For example, let's give you an example. A lot of times you go to events where in the brochure or thing there are some free this and free that already in the bag. 99% of the people throw that off, correct? But now you come to a booth here, and in that booth you get something because you did some activity. Now that was given to you, handed out to you, that's earned. So the idea is whether you earn it or whether you get it for free. That's the difference.
Could I ask one last question, if that's okay?
I think we need to give him a t-shirt on this for sure. It was a good question. I think we have one t-shirt left.
Vishal, hi.
Yeah.
Thank you
Hello.
for the talk.
Hello.
My name is Hassan. I'm the co-founder at Mauritius, and we're building virtual reality tools. So we're basically working on the cutting edge of the technology, and one of the challenges is people don't know the technology. They don't completely understand it. So what we're doing is following the lean methodology to build the product incrementally. So for us, it's a challenge to influence the people when the product itself is not complete. So how would you reconcile getting
So if you're
brand
working on a
ambassadors?
technology which most people don't understand, so you go to the people who understand the technology first, I guess.
No, so we're already doing that. But how do we leverage those people to reach out to the next? How do we build the network effect
I
from
just
there?
gave a 2-hour session on...
What I meant to ask is, when the product itself is not complete, when the value proposition itself is not completely defined, then how can
my
they
point is,
do that?
it's always going to be a moving target. When we launched Goki, we had version 1, and now we are on version 2. We had to keep evolving the product. The product we had on day 0, it was in beta, in fact. The first 1,000 units mein hamare 500 to chale bhi nahi the, and we had to take it back and all that. So it's an evolution.
Say stick with it and keep doing it?
It's an evolution.
Oh, thank you.
Great, we need to give him a t-shirt. So thanks a lot, everybody. I hope that I was able to give you something out of it. The only thing I can tell you is please don't go and buy Goki. It is not designed for lazy people. Goki is designed for people who are active, who want to feel youthful and young, and I don't see a lot of enthusiasm here, so please don't get Goki.
Just
Thank you.
a couple of minutes. Thanks, Vishal. Thanks a ton.
Thanks.
Guys, big round of applause, please, for Vishal. Amazing. Wow. Okay. Great audience. Very rarely do we see such a patient audience for 2 hours. Amazing. That was a lot of Beyond series bundled into one, I felt. Great content, Vishal. Thanks a ton. Just a couple of nuggets that I took from Vishal's talk. Vishal mentioned about building, creating a tribe, right? And if you see some of the branding around, and we've put up standees at Orias, for us, brand building is all about creating your own tribe, right? And it's attracting your tribe and identifying your tribe. And I think you should do that. Second point I'd like to make is, Beyond is all about taking back a certain set of value adds and start getting you to think about marketing and branding very seriously. So urge you to take notes, go back, talk to your top 10 customers, identify your purple cow, and some of the great stuff that Vishal said, and do that, So just don't let it go, right? Start thinking about your brand early, right? Brand building is all about from the day you start, what's the persona, what is you going to do. Some of the tools that Vishal mentioned are actually very handy and are available online for you to identify, what should my brand personality be, et cetera, very helpful. Last but not the least, there's a link here, bit.ly. Please take out your smartphones, go to the link. All you have to do is put in your name and email ID, and we'll reach out to you. And the way it works is that, you get invites for future Beyond events, and we try and cover a plethora of subjects under Beyond, including, how to build your brand with BTL and PR and et cetera, et cetera. So we'll try and cover as much we can in the coming months. Priya, just for you, we had a very interesting and that sort of another purple cow strategy in the fitness space that I saw. And a friend of mine runs a Zumba class in Goa, and she's done a fab job because she's all over the place and people are talking about it. And one of the things I saw was this simple thing that they did was on one song, they made 10 Zumba classes at different locations, just kind of, dance to the same song, and they put up that video, and it's got amazing hits, and they suddenly overnight became very popular. So something very simple like that you can think about for your kind of business, right? So great stuff. Thanks again for being here for Beyond, and we look forward to many more sessions. Thanks.
Gopal, if you can check. Gopal, if you can stay with us for a moment. Okay, let's have Vishal on the stage one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Vishal for that wonderful, insightful presentation, Vishal. Gopal, can we have you also, please? Right, we're going to quickly go ahead and take a picture with the two gentlemen, of course, which will be tweeted on Twitter, obviously. Please do go onto the Twitter handle, please, if you can join me at the center. We're going to quickly go ahead and take a picture, gentlemen. Here we go. I'm right here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Vishal. Thank you very, very much. We're breaking for lunch. We shall be joining you back in about 35 minutes. Before we go, we'd like to thank Orias Venture Partners for bringing this insightful presentation as an associate. Please tweet @OriasVP. Also type in the link mentioned on the screen, especially for startups. Fill in your details and Orias Venture Partners will update you on future sessions. Also do tweet at #TiCon Mumbai 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, see you in about 35 minutes. We're breaking for lunch. See you back.